You've been trying to guess and check your way to factoring something like this, and maybe it's not going so well, so I'm here to help. Now, you've already learned how to take the GCF out, so the next step is to factor trinomials like you see here. Now, we're going to use the reverse FOIL method, but I'm not just going to guess and check. So remember, when you are FOILing out, whatever you put here and here has to equal this number right there. So I know I'm going to only put numbers there that multiply to be 12. And same thing goes here. I guess I should have even started here. Whatever I put there has to multiply to be x squared. So I always say put in what you know has to be true because it's going to help you solve the problem so much more quickly. Whatever I put at the end here is going to have to multiply to be a positive and add to be positive 7. So everything in this problem is positive, so let's fill in what we know has to be true because it's going to help us out when we try to get the final answer here. Now, where does the guessing come in? The guessing is where your teacher says, well, they have to multiply to be 12 and add to be 7, so, come up with it. Well, let's write it down. 12 breaks into 12 and 1, 3 and 4, and 6 times 2. These are all multiplication. So those are the only three options that we're going to stick to. Now, which of those adds to be the middle term? They multiply to be 12, but add to be 7. Well, you see it right here, 3 and 4. So that's all you have to do. You just put your 3 and 4 in there. There you go. We figured out what multiplies to be 12 and adds to 7, and we wrote them out so that we could come up with the answer. Let's try another one where we have a minus sign in it, because I've come up with 4 different examples moving the minus signs out because you do actually have to think about things a little bit differently when you have a minus in different locations. So this is good to go through. All right, let's follow through the same thing. I know this has to be x and x. Now let's think about the signs here. They have to multiply to be a positive, but yet add up to be a negative. How's that going to work? We got to have negatives in here, but they need to multiply to be a positive. Well, duh. They both have to be negatives, right? Because a negative times a negative makes a positive. That makes sense. Now, how do you make 20? 20 times 1, 5 times 4, 10 times 2, and I think that's it. Now, do any of those add up to be 9? 5 and 4 adds up to be 9. And if they're both negative, then they add up to be negative 9. But we already put the minus signs in there, so we're good. So x minus 5, x minus 4 is the factorization for that. Let's try one where the minus sign's at the end and see how this plays out. So again, put your parentheses there, put your x in your x, there and there, and then let's get the signs in there. They have to multiply to be a negative. Now, how's that going to happen? There's only one way that's going to happen, and that's if you have a plus and a minus. So put your x plus and your x minus in there. And now let's go to the drawing board and see if we can figure out what would multiply to be negative 24, but add up to be 5. Once you get better at this, you might be able to do this without showing any work. But for right now, let's write them all out. There's a lot of these. 24 times 1, 12 times 2, 8 times 3, and 6 times 4, I think, is all of them. Do any of those add up to 5? Oh my goodness, no they don't. None of them add up to be 5. So, oh wait, we have a plus and a minus, don't we? We have one of each. So we want it to be positive 5. So I'm going to make the smaller numbers the negatives here. So do any of those add up to be 5? I think they do. Right here, 8 plus negative 3, or 8 minus 3, same thing, equals positive 5. So the 8 has to be the positive, and the 3 has to be the negative. You see, we already put the minus sign in there. So that factors into x plus 8 and x minus 3. Now, let's do one more example where everything's minus in the problem, because again, this is just a little bit different each time. So let's write our parentheses out here and see what we can do. We've got x, and how are we going to make a negative? Don't even look at this yet. How are we going to make the negative 21? It's got to be a plus and a minus for the same reason that it was for the last problem. Now let's see what we can figure out in here. They have to multiply to be 21. Technically negative 21, right? But let's just worry about 21 for right now. 21 times 1 and then 7 times 3 are the only ways. Do any of those add up to be negative 4? not unless we make the bigger numbers the negatives, right? That way they multiply to be negative 21 and add to be, hopefully, negative 4. Which one is it? Of course, it's this one right here. So we put the 7 there, we put the 3 there, and we've just factored it. All right, so those are the 4 different examples. Now, your next video up is where a is not going to be 1 anymore. So it's going to be like 5x squared, and it does get a little bit trickier. So make sure you check out that next video. All right, good luck.